Action. Welcome to Savor at Home number
96. Oh, I thought you were gonna say it.
96. I'm gonna lead today's show.
Are you?
I don't really know what we're doing.
You remember we did a little taste off with some blended scotches,
I
right?
remember that.
Yeah, what did we taste?
We tasted J&B Rare,
J&B Rare against
Johnny Walker Blue.
So a $20 bottle
And that was an interesting
against a $200 bottle of blended scotch.
tasting.
Yeah, it was an interesting tasting.
If you haven't watched that video,
Where
check
can
it out.
you where
Here's
can
the
you
link.
find it? Is it right there or is it on the other side? So during that video, we discovered that the J&B Rare that we have actually been gifted from our friend Knocko, shout out to Knocko,
Knocko.
was a Dusty.
Dusty.
From, what did we say, or what did I say? Because
Early
I'm the one
80s.
who did the research. 82 to 85, somewhere between there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so an early 80s J&B. And one of the things that we were really curious about was, well, does J&B taste the same now? Because the early 80s was
40 years ago.
about 40-year-old bottle.
It tasted better than we expected. So
Much
we
better
wanted
than
to
we
see,
expected.
for especially the cost. So we wanted to see, have they changed their formula? What have they done in the last 40 years?
If they've done.
If they've done anything in the last
Or
40
if the
years.
blenders are still so spot on that they can keep the
they
batch
still alive?
consistency. My guess is that there's new blenders.
Correct.
But a blender's job is to keep batch consistency from year to year or batch to batch.
But it's like that, game of telephone where you might taste from the year prior and it's pretty close. But then as it goes down the line from the start to now, it's
Do
completely
you think that's what
different,
they're doing? You think they don't have one standard sample batch that they go off of every single
That
time?
would make more sense. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.
Anyways, I had you go to the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
and pick up a bottle of J&B Rare because
I
we
did.
didn't have any new bottles of J&B Rare,
Yep,
and it was on sale.
$19.99.
That's-
It was $20.
Yeah, there's definitely differences between the bottles.
Yeah, let's show them. Let's see if you at home can tell the difference. Which one is new and which one is a Dusty.
I think it's like very obvious.
In the back?
This one also has the tax bands in the back. Look at that.
If you guessed this one, you'd be correct.
So the
off
biggest
the bat.
difference besides the shape of the bottle and rearranging of the label and, design elements, the biggest difference is that the bottle from the 1980s is at 86 proof, which is
43% ABV.
And the one that you have in your hands right here is
A measly 40%.
40%. So that 3% ABV, honestly, I think makes a big difference in the
We'll
flavor
find
profile.
out.
We will find out, yeah. Wait, before you open that, I want to give a huge shout out to the Patreons. Thank you guys so much for helping to support the channel. And if you, the viewer, would also like to support the channel beyond just giving us thumbs up and commenting about how great Jerry is on
Thank you.
the YouTube videos, I've got a link in the description below and you can join our neat community over on Patreon. Crack it open. Let's go.
Ooh, nice twisty. We're doing it live.
Color looks to be the same.
Color looks very similar. Take a look at that color. Which one are you smelling first?
Oh,
There is quite a difference.
so left hand, new, right hand, dusty.
Old.
And right away, I pick up a lot more, not only graininess, but grassy, hay-like notes in the new one. Whereas the old one,
definitely
I
have
get
a
a
different
lot
nose.
more citrus
Wow.
and like butterscotch notes.
You're right. This reminds me of almost what I get in a lot of Japanese whiskeys.
Yeah.
On the grainy, briny almost side of things. Whereas here, it's more of that sweetness.
There's a lot more sweetness.
Quite different. Yeah, you're spot on with
So-
that. Now, there are some pretty significant similarities.
They're both very light.
They're both very light.
There's a little honey in both of them.
Yeah, they both have a little honey. They both have a little, for me, a little bit of orange, but not like a sweet, sweet orange.
I'm not getting too much on the new one.
It's
Like, there is a little
Try a
bit,
little
but
harder.
it's...
So,
Yeah.
if I'm going off of nose, I'm picking the Dusty.
dusty. So,
Which one are you going to taste first? New?
yeah.
Cheers. Slanja.
Slanja.
Not bad. Very light.
It is, and I prefer the palate to the nose.
Yeah, I agree.
It has
Less-
a lot more sweetness that comes forward, and less
Less-
of that
Yeah. Say it.
grainy, like,
Briny.
yeah,
No, definitely. Yeah.
less of that grassy thing. No, the palate's quite nice actually. I think I was rooting for it to like really build a creamy mouthfeel, and I felt like it was almost getting there, but just missing the mark a little bit.
It didn't really almost get there for me.
The finish is a little metallic.
It's okay.
And now that I go back, I get more of the smokiness, like a little peat moss in there.
Is there?
I get a little hint of it now that I go back. Now that I've gotten the sweet in my retronasal passageway. A little cigarette smoke.
I'm going in for the dust.
Second sip, and I got a lot more figs. But very, like if you took fig jam and you made like a watered down syrup with it.
Almost like a fresh fig.
Sure.
Dusty?
I feel like I should rinse my palate. And I'm not loving the finish on the new one
I'm
because
not
it does. I'm like, oh, it's a sweet, like very gentle finish, but it feels more metallic sweet.
Yeah, it gives me that on mainly the finish, that kind of, this is a well whiskey type vibe.
I'm excited to try
I'm going in.
the dusty. Slanja.
This is a very creamy mouthfeel. These are very, I don't want to say like extremely different, but they are different. And this one is better. Wow.
Immediately, it's a creamy, silky, I don't want to say silky, but creamy mouthfeel. It definitely leaves a nice coating, very sweet. There's not only fig jam,
Wow.
but there's also some like orange marmalade.
I'm
It's
going to say
nice.
it.
The finish is longer and sweeter and doesn't do metallic
I'm gonna
thing.
say it.
What are you gonna say?
The Dusty is better on the nose and the palate.
The Dusty's better on the nose and the
Wow.
palate. Wow.
Then that's kind of what I thought going into this it might be, but you never know. Maybe it's like we've gotten better at
I
making
wasn't
whiskeys.
sure it would be. I
No.
think Scotch in the 80s hit like a really rough spot. So I thought something from the 80s, like,
This is quite interesting, yeah.
you know, a lot of Dusties from the 80s are not great. Like Bamore, I don't want to say what they actually call it because it's rather sexist, but it has like a really unbearable, like floral thing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever made this in the 80s.
Now, that's not to say that the blenders that are currently at J&B are not doing a great job, because the stocks, I'm sure, are
Way different.
entirely different. Like, imagine
And
what
again,
they've had
it's a
access
different
to in the
ABV.
80s.
Right.
And then so many distilleries in Scotland in the 80s closed down because of the whiskey lock. So the 80s were a rough time. So maybe there's stuff in this
Right.
blend that no longer is in operation.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But
you're
I have
right.
no idea, because I have no idea what actually goes into J&B.
If you work at J&B, comment below and tell
Let us know the secret recipe.
what's your secret recipe.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really fun. Mm-hmm. That's really cool to do a side-by-side just with time being the differentiator. Yeah, it's like we went back in time a little bit.
All right, so concluding remarks.
Concluding remarks, Dusty is
the Dusty
better.
wins. Yeah, but this kind of like sucks for people because we're just like, hey, this Dusty J&B from the 80s is really awesome.
Go out and hunt.
Everyone hunts for Dusties, though.
Go
Actually, I don't think
J&B
people hunt
Dusties.
for J&B Dusties. That's
Go to
true.
go to your established old Italian restaurant. Go in their stocks. They definitely have got one of these somewhere.
You think they haven't consumed all of those stocks?
Maybe they have.
Do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe.
I mean, my guess is that they might.
Dead.
No. My guess is that the blenders probably. No, stop. This is getting weird.
Yeah, it was like $15 or $16.
I thought it said $19.99.
It was $19. Give it to the Dusty.
Give it to the Dusty. What? What did you
Put
say?
a check mark over the nose. Check Dusty.
A check mark.
Dusty wins. Dusty won. Dusty wins. Bird is king.